Hi, welcome to another Roboflow 9 training movie. Today I'm going to show you an example of how to create a workflow that can assign a file to an existing record and do some checks in that record, set some fields, and then finally move it to another catalog. I prepared two catalogs, the staging catalog and the production product library. If here I now say new empty record, I can select that catalog, and I prepared a field and what the user will do is they will add some metadata no matter what, and I can say test 1, but the most important thing is we will search for a field value in this field called DFU code, and I call this car1. This is actually the name of the file that is gonna come back without the file extension. So I'm setting this and I'm adding a new record, and in this new record this was the same record, this new record, I say test2 and df car2. Good. So the idea is that now the customer is doing a photo shoot and the photos are coming back named according to what was set in that field, and now Cumulus will automatically import assign these files. Let's have a look how we do that. So in previous versions, as you can see, we're going to do this in Cumulus 9. In previous versions, we probably would have used something like this workflow, a hotfolder process request. And then we would have done some special stuff in here, and it would have required probably also some extra inline scripting to reassign the file to that empty record. In Cumulus 9, I created a new workflow and selected the hotfolder template, and if I come in here, I can not only set the parameters, but I also can write my own script, so add the functionality this workflow is required to do. I first set the hotfolder in which it's going to look for the files. So in this case it's just a drop folder inside the workflow, and that's all I need to configure on this side. And then on the other side here in the action script, now I can build the script from scratch. I can say new, I can say I'm first going to open the Cumulus catalog. So Cumulus catalog, and I'm looking to open the catalog. I want to know which catalog, and then output variable, I'm going to say catalog, my stagging catalog. Open Cumulus catalog. Okay. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I need to pick up the file, and I need to search in the catalog if I find the file. If I find the file, I will put the file in the target location. If I don't find the file in the catalog or the record in the catalog, I will just copy it to another location. I could mail somebody, notify somebody. There's lots of stuff you can do. So new is I'm going to first create a folder, the target folder. No, sorry, I'm first going to perform the query. And so new, and I'm going to do a Cumulus query. Cumulus query is on a catalog, so it will probably be under Cumulus catalog. Find records. Okay. Then, which catalog do you want me to use? Staging. And okay. Now, here we are asked to set the query. So the query would be something like this. I could say DFU code, which is the name of the field. You can specify it like this. You can specify the GUID. You can specify the GUID with the name in it. You can do that in the Cumulus client to figure out the real syntax. I'm going to say starts with is not the right thing. I need equals. And what does it need to equal to? Well, it doesn't need to equal the record name. You remember, it needs to equal the file name. So either we go for, if you're familiar with inline scripting, you can say file name minus extension of the hot file. And some of you might be familiar with this syntax, so problem solved. If you're not familiar with this syntax, we can do it a different way. We can first say, okay, I want to store a part of the file. So I'm going to look in the actions for file actions here, and I'm going to say store part of a file as text. Okay, then it's going to say which file. Well, the workflow knows that it's a hot folder workflow, so it has a current file called hot, and then the type of action. I want to store the file name without extension. Store the file name without extension, so I can say new file without extension. I always new file without extension. You can put spaces in here, but it's more readable with dashes. Store part of file. So I do recommend that you add a comment in every instruction, because those comments appear here on the right, and that way you can see what he's doing. You can read all the functionalities one by one. On the left you get what kind of action he's performing. On the right, in the middle, you get which variables are used, and you can see the result is called this. He's using the hot file. He's doing type of action store file without extension, but it's much easier if you can just read what you're doing. Same here, and so we could say not just find records, but find file for DFU code. Find record for file with DFU code. Okay, now, as I said, I'm going to do it not with the extensive placeholders. And I made a little mistake. You can do copy paste, but if you click twice copy, you of course lose what you had in your paste basket. So I'm gonna do it again. new file folder, move, it's not that, I want to store a part of the file, and the part of in hot, and the type of action is store file name without extension. File name without extension, and then I can say Control C, Control V. Okay, and I'm cutting this away from here. I'm selecting this and I'm saying paste. That's how you move pieces in actions around. Now I've stored the part and I called it file name without extension. Here I can copy this, and here in the find records I can use the only tag you have to remember in the new Roboflow version 9 is this way. So now if this query is executed, it will look for that particular variable that you just created before, and you will do a simple query. So records found, found. Okay, it will store the result in records found, and now I can say new conditional. I need conditional, and I need to see test. Where is it? Test text. Okay, what variable do I need? Records found, and test equals, so test equals, where is it? Here, test equals 0. Or I could even do text greater than 0. Test, and I'm calling this test if record found, and could be even smarter to do it this way. Test equals 1. Test if record found. It has to find 1 record, not 5, because then you made a mistake in your DFU, not 0. So this is how it's done. Records found. Test equals 1. Test if record found. Okay. Here I say test if record found as a comment, so I can read it here. Now if I find the record, then the next thing is that I will need a folder to put it in. I will copy the file to a certain folder. So now I'm saying new, and I'm going to file folder, and I'm going to say store a path as a folder. And what path will I use? Well, I'm going to my workflow, the final folder, select type of action. I want to store this path as folder, yes, but I want to create this folder if it does not exist. So I'm calling this target folder, store target folder. And I also want to create if it doesn't exist, just to be sure. And then now I have a folder, and now I want to copy my file to that location. So I'm saying new file folder, copy move file. That's what I'm looking for. And the hot file. Variable to use is the target folder. And what's the target file name? I can leave it empty. Then it's just going to use the same file name. I'm going to use copy file. I could use move file, but the workflow itself will delete. The standard functionality of a hot folder is to delete the file when it's processed, so that's not a problem. Output variable is copied file. Copy new file to target folder. Okay. Now I have copied file, so now I'm going to store file folder, store part of file as text. Why? I will set the asset reference to a certain file path. So I want to store part of file as text. Okay. Which file? The copied file. You see, it knows. And now I can say store file path. I have the complete file path, and I can say target file path. Go, and here we go. Store target file path. Okay. The next instruction, if we make this a little bit wider, like this. Okay. The next instruction now is to set the asset reference. So I can do two things. I can see if this exists as an action. That's the first thing I do. I say Cumulus record, and what do I have here? Copy, move, export, import, new record, set the record field value, store record field value as text, update record. I don't see it here. I could be under file maybe. It's check in a file, check out a file, set asset reference. Okay. The asset reference, so variable of the record to process. Now here it doesn't know which record to process. Why? Because at this point we haven't we haven't told it to process the records. So that's what we're going to do now. Which variable do I want? Asset handling set. Asset handling set is related to the catalog, so standard permission template. That depends if you're using an enterprise or not. If you don't use an enterprise, you don't need to set this. So set asset reference. So I forgot to do one part, and I actually saw that the set asset reference works as a file. There's another way to set the asset reference. You can set a record field value, say that it is the asset reference field, and then say set the path. So that's the alternative. Here what I'm going to do is new, and I'm going to say I'm going to do something with Cumulus record. It's with Cumulus catalog. In Cumulus catalog I can process all the, after a find, I can process the records that were found in that collection. So I'm setting this. It says which catalog? Well, that was my catalog. And how do I want to call this? So I can say my record, or you could call it hot if you prefer. Process record found with DFU. Okay, and if you want to process stuff underneath, you have to open it. So I open it by doing this, and this has to go underneath. So I cut, I paste, and if I have a look in here, now I can set my record. It now knows that this is a record of that workflow, a stored record. Once this is set, now I can update the record if necessary. So I can say new instructions, Cumulus catalog, record, and here we will have update record. Okay, which record? My record. What do I want to do? I want to update always, standard, default permissions, like that, update record. So that process is finished. That process is finished. What do I do if the file is wrong? Well, in that case, I can copy this. I can do first here, we can close this, and I can say, okay, if the thing is wrong, then I'm going to do else something else. So I do test else, like an if then else, and it's going to say which variable. Well, we had a variable called test if record is found, and now it says else. What do I need to do else if the record is not found properly? I'm gonna copy it to another location, or I could delete it, whatever you want to do with it. You could send an email and delete it. You can copy it and an email. In this example, we're just simply going to copy it to another location. So another location means that I have to create a folder. So how do I do that? I'm going to file folder. I'm going to say store path as a folder. It's asking me which path, so I'm going here, and I'm going to say a new folder. I'm going to call it bad files. Okay, and I've got bad files now. What do I want to do? I want to create a folder if it doesn't exist, and I'm going to say bad file, bad folder, like that. Store path of bad, store bad folder, like that. Okay. Then I can say, now I'm gonna copy the file. New conditional file folder, copy. Which file? The hot file, not the copied file. Variable to use. Target folder, no, the bad folder. And the target file name I'm not gonna touch. It's a copy file, and I'm gonna call it bad file. Copy or move blah 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 to the target location. That's it. So now I've copied that away, and as I said, I could send an email if I want. So in that case, I have to notification, send email, okay, and I can say email to blah blah blah, the message, and and that's it. The email message is a stored text, so you first would have to store the text, or you could use other stored text. So like this, the file name without extension is already stored. So, or you can use a merge text instruction like this, and so you could go here, and I have. Watch out if you're looking for actions in these drop downs. There's usually there could be something more if you see this arrow here, or above if you have this little triangle there. So if I go down, if I click on it, or with the, I see that I also have text actions, and it could be store merged file text, which is merging existing text with non-existing text. So I could say here for my mail message, bad file name check with df code, and then variable. So I'm putting this here, and then I could say variable of first text to process, and then I could say file name without extension, and that's I'm storing bad file text. Okay, and as you see, I put it in the wrong place, so I paste, and here I edit, and in this mail2, now I have here the bad text, and it can say whatever you like, and so it can notify somebody. Mail subject file not found in catalog, and I'm using bad file text. You see, if I close this, the final thing we should not forget is close the catalog. So you select this. If it's open and you select it, it will put it underneath. If you close it, it will put it here at the next as the next instruction. So here I can say Cumulus catalog, and I can say close catalog. It's going to ask which catalog. Well, it knows we have only one catalog here, and close catalog. Okay. Always remember to do OK, because everything you did so far is not stored, saved. So I click here OK, and now we're ready to test and run the workflow. So that's how you would create such a workflow, very easily done with the new Cumulus 9 actions, instead of having to combine the old kind of workflows to get the same result. Thank you for joining me, and hope to see you in another movie. Bye.